Welcome to World Sage, where ancient wisdom meets modern insights. In the verdant heartland of Ghana, where the ancient trees whispered secrets of old, there stood a village that prospered under the wise leadership of an elder named Kofi. Renowned for his profound connection to the Creator and a staunch believer in monotheism, Kofi was a pillar of strength and morality for his people, the Akan. His teachings, stripped of the polytheistic influences that had seeped into neighboring cultures through trade and conquest, drew upon the pure visions of ancient prophets, long forgotten by the world, but kept alive through Kofi's fervent faith. Kofi's lineage was as humble as his teachings were grand. Born into a family of modest means, his path to spiritual leadership was not foreordained by lineage or wealth, but carved by his unyielding pursuit of wisdom and understanding. As a young man, he had traveled far and wide across the continent, seeking knowledge among different tribes, learning from sages and seers, often challenging and refining his own beliefs. His return to his homeland was marked by a profound dedication to uplift his community through the principles of justice, reciprocity, and the unwavering belief in a singular supreme deity. The village over which Kofi presided was a microcosm of his teachings. Homes were built from the earth, wood and thatch, standing in harmonious circles, reflecting the unity Kofi emphasized in his sermons. Each morning, as the sun rose, casting long shadows over the dew-laden fields, Kofi would walk among his people, sharing words of encouragement, resolving disputes with wisdom that seemed to pierce the heart of every matter. However, peace and prosperity, as Kofi often warned, could sow seeds of complacency and greed, human vices that were as old as time itself. This truth became evident with the rise of his nephew, Kwame, a charismatic yet impulsive young man, influenced by traders from distant lands who spun tales of immense wealth and power. Kwame's heart grew restless. He saw in his uncle's influence a means to achieve his own dreams of greatness, which were markedly different from the spiritual and communal aspirations Kofi cherished. The year the drought came was the year everything changed. It was as if the earth itself had decided to test the moral fiber of Kofi's village. The rivers ran dry, crops withered, and the great canopy of trees that had for centuries whispered wisdom now stood silent under the scorching sun. The villagers, fearful for their future, turned to Kofi, who in turn called for prudence and faith. "We must look to the Creator in times of scarcity, as we do in times of plenty," Kofi addressed his people, gathered under the baobab tree, the village's ancient meeting spot. "Let us fast and pray, share what we have, and remain steadfast in our faith. This drought is but a test of our virtue." But Kwame, fueled by a burgeoning greed and desperation, saw an opportunity. He proposed a different solution, one that echoed the darker human instincts Kofi had always taught against. "Why should we suffer while the tribe across the river thrives? They have stockpiles of grain, herds of cattle. It is within our power to claim what we need," Kwame whispered to the younger villagers, his words like a slow poison dripping into the ears of the discontent. Kofi, learning of Kwame's plot, confronted him publicly, hoping to quash such thoughts with the weight of his authority. "To take by force what is not given is to steal not just from others, but from our own souls," Kofi declared, his voice both pained and firm. "We are not thieves. We are children of a just Creator. Do not let this hardship turn us from our path." Despite Kofi's admonitions, the seed of greed had taken root in some hearts. One night, a group of young warriors, led by Kwame, raided the neighboring village. The immediate aftermath was devastating, a brief success overshadowed by a spiral of violence that no one could contain. As the raids turned into blood feuds, Kofi worked tirelessly to mediate peace, reaching out to the aggrieved leaders, offering restitution, invoking shared beliefs and ancient bonds. With every step towards peace, he confronted not just the external conflict, but the internal strife tearing his village apart. Amidst this turmoil, Kofi never wavered in his teachings or his dedication to justice and the Creator's will. His efforts, though met with resistance from both sides, gradually began to heal the wounds inflicted by greed and desperation. In the rolling savannas of East Africa, where the earth breathes with the tales of generations, there lived a sage named Idris. He was revered not only for his profound wisdom, but also for his deep faith in a singular, all-encompassing Creator. Unlike many of his contemporaries who adhered to the local polytheistic beliefs, Idris followed the teachings of ancient, unknown prophets who preached a pure, uncorrupted monotheism. Idris was known across the lands for his fair judgments and his ability to resolve conflicts that often arose in the region. His counsel was sought by many, from humble villagers to powerful chieftains. Yet, despite his wisdom and his commitment to justice, Idris harbored a deep-seated struggle with the concept of divine justice, which he felt was often absent in the world he observed. The test of Idris's faith came when a severe drought struck the region. As crops failed and water sources dried up, a wealthy merchant named Jabari exploited the situation by hoarding resources to sell at exorbitant prices. Many suffered under Jabari's greed, yet he continued to prosper, which led Idris to question the justice of a creator who would allow such suffering. One day, Idris was approached by a woman named Amina, whose family was on the brink of starvation due to Jabari's manipulation of the market. She pleaded with Idris to intervene and challenge Jabari's unethical practices. Idris, feeling a surge of anger and helplessness, decided it was time to act, not just as a mediator, but as an enforcer of divine justice. Idris confronted Jabari in front of the village assembly, denouncing his actions as not only immoral but as defiance against the will of the Creator. Jabari, arrogant and unrepentant, dismissed Idris's accusations, claiming that his wealth was a sign of divine favor, which only deepened Idris's crisis of faith. Determined to set things right, Idris took a drastic step. He rallied the villagers to boycott Jabari's goods and to start a community cooperative where resources were shared based on need, not wealth. The cooperative was a success, significantly undermining Jabari's hold over the community. However, the victory was bittersweet for Idris. One evening, as he sat under the vast African sky, praying for guidance, he experienced a profound spiritual revelation. The Creator spoke to his heart, revealing that true justice was not for humans to enforce through anger or retribution, but through steadfast faith and collective action that empowered the community. This divine insight transformed Idris. He realized that his role was not to impose justice, but to inspire and facilitate righteousness through compassion and communal support. With this new understanding, Idris approached Jabari, offering him a chance for redemption. Moved by Idris's change of heart and the community's unity, Jabari began to see the folly of his greed. He agreed to contribute his resources to the cooperative, gradually restoring his relationship with the community. Idris continued to lead by example, emphasizing the principles of equity and shared prosperity. His teachings spread, influencing neighboring villages and eventually reaching far beyond his own region. Years later, Idris passed away, leaving behind a legacy characterized by his unwavering faith in a just Creator and his commitment to living out the principles he preached. His life's work became a model of how faith and justice could coexist and flourish in harmony. Idris's story, preserved in the oral traditions of his people, continued to inspire generations. It served as a reminder that the true measure of justice lies in our capacity to foster a community where everyone can thrive together, under the guidance of a divine wisdom that transcends human understanding. Thank you for joining us on another journey into the past with World Sage. If today's story inspired you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might appreciate these timeless lessons. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts or any wisdom you've encountered in your own life. Join us next time as we continue to explore the wisdom of the ages, bringing ancient insights into today's world. Until then, keep seeking knowledge and growing wiser every day. Farewell.